shake things up. Every screen here is a freaking PowerPoint template. And the same PowerPoint template in green. I like green. I like this type of green. There, I said something nice. This is gonna be a fun redesign. And I say that sarcastically. Avowed is an RPG made by Obsidian Entertainment. I'm Lucas Olivieri, the creative director at Loreworx, a gaming startup, and redesigning interfaces is what I do in hopes that a developer might watch this and make a change or two. This one was tough, because this UI, man, it is boring. We got a lot to talk about, let's go. Out of all the games we've done videos on, no game has left me as conflicted as Avowed. From what I've seen of the gameplay, I think this will be a good game. But I'm a UI nerd, and this interface is one of the most boring I've ever seen. I've talked about how great it is as a UI designer when you find a screen that you can reuse as a template for a bunch of other game screens. But I've also explained how this can be a double-edged sword. Because if all game screens look the same, you end up with a ridiculously uninspiring UI. And that's Avowed. It's important to have a different looking screen here and there, because players get a tiny amount of satisfaction from the surprise that fresh screens cause. This game's screens all look the same. And worse yet, they all look like an Excel spreadsheet had a baby with a PowerPoint template. You know, those blank slides that PowerPoint starts with giant boxes that say click to add text, but teal instead of white. What Veilguard is to purple, Avowed is to teal. In this redesign, I try to give some of the game screens a fresher look. And I think the most logical place to start are the abilities screens. This is where you pick new skills. And skills are supposed to be cool. You're leveling your character, unlocking new powers for f***'s sake. Great RPGs tend to go all out designing these screens, but not Avowed. All of these class screens look like Google Sheets. Even my 9-year-old son thinks they're boring. And if you still can't see what I'm seeing, here's the Godlike screen. You see what I mean now? This is where your godlike powers are displayed. And because I know I'll trigger someone's OCD if I don't show the companion screen, here it is. You're welcome. All right, back to the fighter screen. So what is contributing to this boring spreadsheet look? The first design choice I'm not a fan of is these navigation buttons. They remind me of old GeoCities websites, and boy did I just age myself. But if you know, you know. The problem with using big buttons like these for navigation is when you have more than one line of them. The moment you add a second row of buttons, you start creating a stupid looking brick wall. And this one isn't even centered, which if you watch my videos, you know I take that as a personal attack. Another design choice I'm not a fan of is this right panel that is used pretty much everywhere. This is a tooltip, but instead of appearing next to your mouse cursor or close to the item you're highlighting if you're a console, they pinned it to the right side of the screen and it's always on. Not only does this add to the PowerPoint template look, it also creates a ridiculously large tooltip. Game tooltips usually resize. This one never does, and it will constantly give you the impression that it's bigger than it should be. They also show skill levels with these little diamonds. Not only is this a really anticlimactic way to show an increase in your character's power, it also clutters the screen like crazy. The last visual problem here is a lack of contrast between the background and the interface elements in the foreground. This makes the screen look lifeless, but it's a super easy fix. You just add a little brightness to the foreground. To redesign these skill screens, I drew inspiration from the awesome Skyrim skill trees that take you to the stars when you level up. Here's the fighter redesign. There are several changes here, but let me first address the elephant in the room. Avowed has a thing for green mist. All game screens have green mist animating somewhere. I wanted to keep that, so I had Skynet generate a fighter character covered in mist, which I then photoshopped to hell and back to get this look. I am not an illustrator, and I don't have the budget to hire one, otherwise I would. Not that I have a problem with AI art, but I do prefer dealing with other Homo sapiens. Ideally, I'd have the mist animate here too in a subtle way, but we don't have an After Effects guy either. Disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about this new screen. The first thing I did was get rid of the GeoCities brick wall of buttons. I went with this banner look, which I think is more elegant, and this one is centered, by the way. I got rid of the little diamonds that show skill level. In this redesign, skill levels are shown on the outer borders of the skill icons, and the whole thing glows when you max out the skill. Because I had more space to work with without those buttons, I increased the size of the skill art, which, let's be honest here, is what makes skill screens interesting to look at in the first place. I changed the color of the background on the tooltip panel on the right and the skill rows from a dark gray to black because dark gray looks like shit with transparency. And I wanted these skill screens to look even more different. I added a little space between the skill rows and made space for the fighter art on the left. I think adding transparency and adjusting the spacing helps make the screen look less like a spreadsheet. I got rid of the big green reset points bar. Why is this given so much importance? If you want to respec, you will find out how. Gamers make it their life's goal to figure out how to respec when they want to respec, to the point where they will Google this shit if they can't find it. That's how desperate we get when we want to respec. It doesn't need a big green bar. The last thing I did was increase the contrast between the background and foreground to give this screen a little more life, like I talked about. And there you have it, the redesigned fighter screen. Let's move on to the Ranger. As a reminder, this is the original Ranger screen. Same design problems as the fighter screen, so I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm just going to hit you with the redesign. Wizard now. Here's the original. Here's the redesign. I'm gonna be honest here, I'm not 100% satisfied with this one. It was the last of the 3 class screens that I redesigned, and because the wizard has so many goddamn skills, I ran into a spacing issue. I think the screen got a tiny bit cramped. But I wanted to keep the same spacing between the 3 class screens, and I was too damn tired of redesigning this game's screens to attempt to tweak this, so I moved on. Don't hate me. Hate Fernando instead. Let's move on to the ungodly god screen. Here's the redesign. That's right, this one's different. I wanted the godlike screen to be unique, man. The whole damn game is green. If there's one screen where we could say F you to the green, it's this one. So I picked the gold color palette because these are god skills and gold is godly, I guess. And for the background art, well, this time I really looked at Skyrim and went with the stars and the yellowy nebula that forms some kind of creature looking thing. These skills are unlocked during the story, so they don't have level requirements. That's why I removed those skill rows. They also only have 1 skill level, so I kept the skill diamonds. It's not clutter if it's only one of them and they're part of the skill icon. But I wanted to make unlocking these skills special. The original screen lights up the little diamond under the skill art, but that's it. In this redesign, in addition to the little diamond lighting up, the unlocked skill icons also get this outer glow effect. I wanted this to look like the sun's corona, like that ring you see in an eclipse, and ideally this would also be animated. My hope with these redesigns is to give players that quick dopamine rush you get after hours of looking at inventories, stores, and loot windows, and opening a totally different game screen. If you enjoy this redesign video, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. You'll be helping us make our own game, and we'll be forever freaking grateful. I wanted to tackle the companion screen too, but I just don't have the assets to do so. The footage I've seen of this screen is from the early game, and the screen's too incomplete for me to try to redesign. When you're doing floating health bars in an RPG, I think they need to be more minimal. If you're going to do something this intricate with this much information, with, debuffs and status effects and level indicators and apparently the 3 freaking skulls, then you might as well have a top health bar with the last enemy that you hit with all of this information, because otherwise, look at this thing, it looks like a widget. If you're gonna help players by showing where they can interact, but at least make it so that they're close to the thing. Because when it's this far away, it's almost like the game is an autopilot. Oh, so I don't have to discover things now? You're just gonna tell me where things are? This is a spider web, and then it's got this fire icon on it. Wouldn't it just be so much cooler if you didn't tell me that I could burn the thing? And I found out, on my own. And then you could say that, well, there's probably going to be an accessibility feature. You can go into the options menu in the accessibility settings, and then you can turn this off. Great. Have it off by default, and then maybe have a marketing video where you show all of your accessibility features and stuff, because it seems like you're holding players' hands here. Look at the book. If you're gonna highlight everything that I can loot, at least make me either press a button, like press Alt to get the highlighted items, or do like a Witcher sense bullshit thing, something like that. But not only are you breaking my immersion with all this flashy crap that I can loot, you're also completely destroying my sense of discovery, because I'm not discovering anything anymore. Very well done subtitling, so you can read that from a mile away. All right, interesting box there. Again, that's the theme of this interface. Box.
And that's the dialogue option.
What's in the box?
I mean,
it's a movie reference. He didn't get it. He's a film director, but he. Good job, Fernando.
I mean, who wouldn't get this one?
You haven't seen Indiana Jones, so I don't know. It's upgradable.
Yeah.
But why are you flashing the why? Because now you run into this situation where you have 77 freaking common items, and you have a Christmas tree in your inventory because all of the freaking items are flashing the upgrade icon. That's the entire list of look, only 2 items are not flashing. If you're flashing something, you're trying to call my attention, you're saying this is important. But if everything is important, nothing is. Look at the save game screen. I mean, I can't do I need to say anything else other than look at the save game screen? When I see a save or load game screen with 3 slots, I immediately think of low-budget games or old Game Boy Color games. I think the game wants to limit my saves because there's limited memory in the game cartridge or something. And to be clear, Avowed doesn't limit saving to 3 slots, but the game screen only shows 3 slots before you have to scroll. In a modern title, it's just not a good look. I want modern RPG save screens to show me that I can have as many goddamn saves as I want, limited only by my storage. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3, which I think does saving perfectly, even giving players a multitude of autosave and quick save slots. I'll never get tired of using this game as an example for how to design things well. Anyway, here's the save screen redesign. No design gives you the idea that you can save as many times you want, more than a list. You get the type of save in teal and the player location in white. If you name your manual save, the location isn't shown on the bar, but it is shown on the right. Screenshots are important in these screens. We often load a save based on the screenshot because the location, date, and time of save isn't always enough to know you picked out the right one in an ocean of save files. So I made the screenshot bigger. I would also make it clickable, then you could really examine the screenshot before loading. The information under the screenshot is the same as the original, but I added the game version. This is pretty important after a big patch or if you use mods. And the last little tweak was relocating the overwrite and delete prompts to the bottom right of the screen. The map is, oh God! Why is everything from this UI boring? Why does it look like a map that Dora the Explorer would have?
If there's a place you gotta go, I'm the one you need to know, I'm the map.
Nothing in this map screams cool. Nothing in this map pops. This map doesn't seem like it belongs in this game world, is what I'm trying to say. It's almost like a different style. You're playing this cool first-person Skyrim-esque RPG, and you open a map and it's like the map is from like Animal Crossing. By the way, they really need to fix, and by fix I mean lock in place, the map limit here. This just looks horrible. When you're dragging the map like this, continue the map or something so that it still looks white, dragging it off the screen. Cool. Cool. Loading screen looks awesome. That looks awesome.
And even the HUD for that is good.
I know, that's what I'm saying. The interface here looks amazing.
And the way
yes,
the
the loading animation, everything, that looks amazing. It just seems like a missed opportunity. That's what I feel like. It's the disappointment that, look at that talent, you know? That level of creativity in that loading screen. Let me give him flowers. I need to say positive things as well.
Just because you're next to the grass.
Yeah, touch grass. They are doing the skill cooldowns in the way that I would. So that makes them right, because it's what I would do. No, it's perfectly executed because you got this hot bar in the middle of the screen. It's really supposed to be kind of like your peripheral vision. You're not supposed to bring your eyes down, right? And then they're doing the cooldowns in the way that I have redesigned cooldowns before in other videos. The skill art is being darkened, and then they're doing the dial animation. There's a lot of contrast, and they're not giving us like a second thing. You know, it's 2 and 7 here. We know it's seconds. So there's no need to go 2 and then S. That just pollutes the tile. So they're doing a very good job here. And let me see if there's a little animation. Yeah, perfect execution. Oh my God, they did something different.
And with other colors, they're not green, black.
Wow. See, this is so much cool. Oh my God, this is so much cooler looking. See what happens when you take some risks? You know, choose a different PowerPoint template. Anyone who's ever watched any of the videos that I've made should know that I hate vignetting. If you're gonna use vignetting to indicate that you're in stealth mode, that sucks, man. Cause look, what if I want to make a stealth archer in this game, like in Skyrim? Then I'm gonna be playing the entire stupid game with a freaking vignette? Show me in a different way that I am in stealth mode. Do the Skyrim thing with the freaking eye crosshair thing. I don't know. Use a different type of position. Don't just lower the character. It does look like this game changes the stance in which the character is holding the weapons when the character is in stealth mode. That is enough for me. I know I'm in stealth. When I see this stuff, you know, I always think, because I'm stupid like that, I always think, who put this chest here? And what was that person thinking? And this is a quick loot window with an item tooltip? I have never seen that before. You can love or hate Bethesda games, but one thing you can't deny is they design some cool shit. This little window is a version of quick loot, which I first saw used in Fallout 4. And it's now in every Bethesda game, old and new. The problem with Avowed's quick loot is this bottom panel. Why give players this giant item preview? It defeats the purpose of quick, real-time looting. Previews should be in the inventory screen or the dedicated loot screen, which the game doesn't seem to have. I'm going to redesign the quick loot panel as if the game had a dedicated loot screen, like in Fallout 4 or Starfield. By removing the preview box, I could make the item list longer and the overall window shorter. You get more useful information and less of the game world gets covered up. I also added the value and weight stats for each item. I removed the scroll bar from the right side because there's no need for one. If you crop the last item on the list, players intuitively know that they can scroll down. And if you want to see a larger loot screen, you can press R. This opens the dedicated loot screen. I repurposed the game's inventory screen and added the tabs at the top for easy switching between player and container. The inventory UI here is already heavily inspired by Sky UI, rightly so the dedicated loot window is as well. The last loot-related change I'd like to propose is for when you hover over an item in the game world. The game gives you that same preview panel once again, and it makes no sense to me. Why show a thumbnail of the object I'm literally seeing in glorious 3D? Keep the take button prompt and add some useful information in text, and you're done. Like this. Nice and unintrusive. The pistol is a seahorse.
Yeah.
That is cool. Inspired. Could we have had like the modelers do the UI? So there you go, Fernando. I vowed to make some changes and I did.
Good for you.
Anyway, so if you like this video, and click here because YouTube thinks you're gonna like this other video, and YouTube knows you more than your mother does. I'm sure. And as always, remember that fun is business, and if you think you're gonna become something like that, go to the doctor's office.
Some things cannot be avoided. Sorry, I had to say that once again.
Avoid is not the same thing as a vow. It's just not even a good pun.